This is the 100 Club. I'm Tom, and we are going to have a chat about some cricket, joined once again by the ever reliable Richard. Good morning, Rich. How you doing?
I'm very well, Tom. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. It's been another early start on a Sunday.
It has, and we've been rewarded with some good cricket once again. Tom, can you cast your mind back? What were you doing in March 2018?
Great question. I think I was probably in the Baltics doing something very cold and snowy, somewhere up in Estonia.
I have no idea what I was doing. It feels like a lifetime ago, but that was
the last definitely
time.
That.
That was the last time the Australian women's team lost a match. This amazing run they've been on, 26 games unbeaten, but it's finally come to an end this morning with a fantastic win by India.
It was, and it was a great game too. We had to get up early to see it, but we did get at least the last concluding overs, and it was fair to say it was quite close right up to the end.
Indeed. One of the benefits of having young children is it means you do get up very early at the weekends, which isn't always a benefit, but when there's good cricket on, that's always that's good. So a fantastic run chase by India. They were set a stiff target here, 264 by the Aussies to win the third ODI, having lost the first two, India. Which they did. They chased it down with 3 balls to go. They were 8 wickets down. It was pretty tense at the end. Sneh Rana played a good hand for 30 odd. You thought she was going to get them over the line. She gets out with a couple of overs to go. But Julian Goswami, she was the villain earlier in the week, but today she was the hero, smashing the winning runs off Sophie Molyneux with 3 balls left.
It was great, and I think what they really showed was a lot of character, given what happened earlier in the series. And maybe we'll chat about that in the morning. But firstly, I'm just amazed that your child is getting up to watch the India game. Was that why they got you up?
A real cricket badger, yeah. No, that's.
Well, you've got the shirt on at least. Okay, so coming back from that second ODI, and we can talk about that as well. But it was a great quality series.
It was. I mean, the first ODI, India weren't quite at the races, and it was a fantastic run chase there by the Aussies. All 3 of the batters at the top of the order, Meg Lanning, Beth Mooney, and Alyssa Healy all got runs. Rachel Haynes.
Haynes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was Beth Mooney then in the second match who had that 125 not out, fantastic innings. But the second match was embroiled in controversy, Tom. I don't know if you followed this at all.
Well, I did, and just on that first one, that was their 25th ODI in a row, and Haynes and Healy both going to 2,000 runs in ODIs. So that says something about this squad. This is an experienced winning machine. Going into the second ODI, you see, again, it goes down to the last ball in this case, but not before there's some notable controversy.
Indeed. So just to put it into context, India had come back a lot stronger in the second match compared to that relatively poor performance in the first game. They put up 274, Smriti Mandhana leading the way with 86. And then the Aussies had been in real trouble there. The Indians had them 4 down for only 52. And it was a fantastic partnership by Beth Mooney and Talia McGrath to get them back in the game. And they really put the Indians under pressure those last 10 overs. There was quite a lot of misfielding, a lot of scampered 2s when there was only really a 1. So the Indians were almost architects of their own destruction. But it came down to needing 13 off the last over, as I said, Julian Goswami bowling it. And, with 1 ball left, the Aussies needed 3 off the last ball. And then, if you haven't followed it, Julian Goswami bowls what was given as a no ball. It was quite controversial. A lot of people are upset. Thought I'd bring it up here. This is the moment of impact, Tom. So if you look at it here, and the rule is waist height or above, or it's as some people interpret it. And in that case, you would say, yes, clearly this is a no ball. But as we did a video back in, earlier in the summer with Sue Redfern, the umpire said, when you're umpiring women's cricket, you have to remember that it's a slightly different game to men's cricket. And one thing you have to take into account, trajectory of the ball. And the rule states it's not, where the ball impacts the bat, it's at the crease, and it's the batter in the upright position. Now, if you just show, what, she looks like in her upright stance, you can see that the waist is considerably higher in this one. And also, you don't capture it in the still, but the ball is dipping. And I don't think the umpiring took that into account. So for me, it was a poor decision.
I agree. And it was the trajectory of the ball that did it for me, because actually it was quite a loopy delivery. And I was fairly confident it was going to be quite a bit lower than even your graphic shows there, and therefore not a no ball.
Yeah. So I think the Indians were pretty disappointed by that one,
Yeah.
having missed out. They thought they kind of ran off, thought they won the game. They came back out, ultimately lost it, but showed a lot of character to come back and win today. And it just whets the appetite, I think, for the World Cup in February, because the top sides in the world are really, really competitive at the minute.
It does, and there's still a lot of cricket to go in that series. It is the ODIs are a mini series within the series itself. There's a test match starting on Thursday, the 30th of September. That's going to be worth 4 points. So if you look at the table at the minute, Australia 4 points from 2 wins, so 2 wins for each of the 2 points, for each of the ODIs versus 2 points for the Indians, so 4-2. 4 points for the test match to come, could actually decide the series if the Australians win it. But then they've got the 3 T20s as well to round it up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I like the multi-format series, the way that men's cricket has it structured. I think maybe men's cricket could learn something from that.
Perhaps, but then I think there would be the question about whether that's further watering down the integrity of Test cricket, which is possibly an argument we don't want to have right now.
That's an argument for another day.
It absolutely is. So happy with it though right now in India and Australia's case, and they're having a great time of it. There was a final yesterday. Did you see the cricketing final yesterday?
Up in Northampton, it was the final of the Rachel Heyhoe Flint Trophy. That's a mouthful. And it was the Southern Vipers defending their title up against the Northern Diamonds. They got through their eliminator midweek against the Central Sparks, and it was a good game.
It really was. And I thought Amy Campbell, who probably given the winning knock in the playoff with a 76, had done enough potentially for the Northern Diamonds with, again, a 60, putting on a decent total, I thought, on that wicket, 183, but not with as much support in this case. So Steer Cullis had done it on the playoff, not so much yesterday, 183 to defend. And actually, at one point, it ebbed and flowed quite nicely all the way through that chase from the Southern Vipers.
It did. And I enjoy low-scoring one-day cricket, or any one-day cricket where wickets are part of the equation.
Yeah.
And like I said, the pitch wasn't the best. You can see there that Georgia Adams with her spin was the pick of the bowlers, which kind of demonstrates the trickiness of the surface. And the Vipers found themselves 107 for 7 at one point with about 15 overs to go. And that's when Tara Norris joined Emily Windsor at the crease. And those two put on a fantastic unbeaten partnership of 78 to bring the Vipers home and win it for the second successive season. Yeah,
and I think Emily Windsor demonstrated quite clearly the value of patience, even in the ODI game, because it wasn't a quick innings. I think it was 47 off 97.
It was.
But actually,
a strike under 50, indeed.
Yeah,
absolutely. We talk about anchor roll, and that was very much an anchor. But, if you've caught any of the BBC coverage this summer, Emily Windsor's been doing quite a lot of media work on commentary. So she's obviously a real thinker about the game. That comes through in her comms. Absolutely understands what's going on, and I think she assessed the situation yesterday and saw, I need to bat the overs here. Let's not get bowled out for 21-30. The longer we take the game, the run rate isn't prohibitively high. The longer we take the game, the more pressure is put on the bowling side. And Tara Norris played a lovely innings there, 40 off 44, along with spare a thought for Katie Levitt, who I thought was outstanding as well. She bowled her 10 overs for 20, including the crucial wicket of Maya Bouchier. Unlucky to be on the losing side, but a fantastic final.
Yeah, I also enjoyed Jenny Gunn's 3 for as well. That was a good effort from but ultimately, I think the Central Sparks won their way through to the final directly. They're clearly the better team, I think, over the period of the season. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, and as we've said all summer, difficult scheduling. We're not in bubbles anymore. We're in what they call these safe living environments, but would be good next year if they could schedule it so that the essentially contracted players were available for the final. The Rachel Heyhoe. I think that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so some men's cricket, and it's been the fabulous return of the Indian Premier League this
week. Never heard of it, Tom. Never heard of it. Was it?
Well, I say fabulous. I mean, it does lose something, right, when it's not in India.
It loses a lot. I mean, so much of obviously the cricket's fantastic in the IPL, but what makes the tournament for me is, it's played in front of massive crowds with massive energy for the cricket. People going berserk as the ball's disappearing into all parts. So without that, it does lose a little bit, but there's still been some good games.
There have, and we can have a look through them if you like.
Let's pick some bits out.
So one thing I'll tell you is that Mumbai Indians don't like playing the opening game or their opening game ever. So if you're going to count the restart of the IPL as an opening game, they, true to form, absolutely piled in against Chennai Super Kings.
Yeah, I think if you're giving Mahela Jayawardene a contract, just give him a contract for one game less, because that first game's a write-off. we just sorted ourselves out on that first one.
Yeah, so it's Ruturaj Gaikwad put in an 88 not out, with actually not much support until they got down to 7 and 8 with Bravo and Jadeja, who actually dug in a bit, and actually they put a reasonable total on.
It was interesting. They were 32 for 4 in that game, effectively for 5, because Rayudu was retired hurt. Trent Bolt and Adam Milne did the damage up top. Yeah, like you said, they scraped themselves up to 150, and MI were never in the chase.
Yeah, and it was Chahar and Moeen Ali who actually bowled really well, tied them up on that chase, and DJ Bravo coming in with the 3 wickets to win it.
I mean, it's been a poor restart for the Royal Challengers Bangalore. We've had the news that the Virat is standing down, both as T20 captain of India, but also RCB. Yeah. 2 defeats in the restart. I mean, that first one was a crushing defeat by KKR.
It was. I mean, RCB knocking off the 92 in, I think, about 10 overs. It was Shubman Gill and Iyer just smashing it out, just showing that there was nothing wrong with that pitch. It was just an abject batting performance.
Indeed. And I think the next game that followed that one, as a Punjab Kings fan, I don't really want to revisit it, but I suppose we have to.
It was a crazy game, that one. The Rajasthan Royals Punjab Kings, yeah.
I think for 38 overs, it was only one team was going to win it, and then the last 2 overs, the other team did.
So it was the young star Tyagi?
It was. I mean, 185 was a decent score there. I mean, but it actually felt a bit under par, to be honest. It looked like a really good wicket. Yeah. And then, Punjab did everything right in the run chase. It was Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul put on a big partnership for their first wicket, 120 odd. Then Markram and Puran took it on. And they ended up needing, 8 off the last 12 balls with 8 wickets in hand. Yeah.
And it was still 4 off the last ball over. And Tyagi takes 2 wickets in it for 1 run. It's miserly stuff and an incredible over.
It's phenomenal. I think you have that situation 100 times and the batting side wins 99 times out of that. But interesting stuff.
Another form team, Delhi Capitals.
Yes, they look good, don't they?
They do.
Only to come a cropper in the eliminator, but they're duking it out with CSK at the top. I mean, they didn't have
I think they've got the best bowling lineup, in the IPL.
They do. They do. They have a lovely bowling lineup, don't they? And I was sort of made a note of that the other day. Avesh Khan, Andre Nortje, Ravi Ashwin, Kagiso Rabada, Axar Patel. It's such a blend there, isn't it? The sort of raw pace of the South Africans, the canniness of Ashwin and Axar Patel, and Avesh Khan, who's really impressed as the Indian player. Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I mean, for me, I think what they've got those 5 core bowlers. They bowl them all for 4 overs. There's no, they don't turn to a 6th sort of option, and they bowl so tight. So in that second game of the week that they played, where they beat the Rajasthan Royals, all 5 of them bowled under 8 in economy. Each one took at least 1 wicket, and it was just a very disciplined and top quality T20 bowling performance.
They did. In that second one where they beat the Royals, Liam Livingstone opened the batting as an experiment there. I mean, he only got 1. So, I mean, you can't really judge based off 1 inning. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because we hadn't really seen him, as high as opening. I mean, even in the 100, he was coming in number 4 for the Phoenix. So interesting experiment. I think maybe they're trying to get him to reprise the Joss Butler role. They're obviously missing Butler and Stokes. I mean, in their first game, they didn't have much to beat, to be fair, did they?
No, and in truth, the Sunrisers Hyderabad are a poor team. I think we saw that again yesterday in their defeat to Punjab Kings. I think, losing 8 out of the first 9 games of this IPL is a pretty good indication.
I thought it was a mighty performance by the Punjab Kings, defending 125. Ravi Bishnoi with his 3 wickets bowled particularly well. But no, you're right. There's 7 teams in the IPL, and then there's the Sunrisers, isn't it? Davey Warner, he's got 195 runs in 8 innings, but he's striking at 107. It's barely above a run a ball. They only made 20 in the power play yesterday. That's their lowest ever in their history. Yeah,
honestly, David Warner is batting like he won his place in the team in a raffle. um, which is terrible. I suppose that is what the IPL is in a way.
Yeah, more or less. I imagine that sort of Jason Roy's wandering around, sort of showing his highlight reel on YouTube to the coaching staff, like, any
It's
chance
got to be
of
worth
that
a
here,
look.
boys?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's got to be worth a look. He can't be doing any worse.
Because at the moment, Sunrisers Hyderabad dead and buried, so they might as well try out some new blood.
Indeed. And that sort of, having one, absolute, terrible team has sort of made the table quite interesting because, the other 7 can still make it to the eliminators. I mean, Delhi are not mathematically in, I read, but no team has ever got 16 points and not made it to the eliminators. But it's any one of 7 could still win it. So exciting things to come. I like the look of the CSK. Those old heads. Dhoni was asked about it the other day. He says we're not the quickest in the field, so we have to be the smartest. And you've got Faf du Plessis, Suresh Raina, Dwayne Bravo there. It's a bit like it's like the A-team or something, isn't it? So these,
roll them out.
These canny old campaigners with blended with youth. So I my money would be on CSK.
Keep an eye out for Kolkata Knight Riders, though. 2 wins on the return. Owen Morgan, I think we could laugh about him, but he is a canny old head as a captain there. So I think they're going in the right direction as well.
Yeah, and MI as well. They never write off a Joe Ward in the team. We did that in the summer, didn't we, with the Brave? And look how that worked out for us.
Absolutely. Okay, let's head back to the international scene, shall we? Let's talk about the conclusion. Sorry, not quite the conclusion because the last game is today, but the sealing of the England-New Zealand series, women's ODIs, and England get to the W.
They do. They're 3-1 up in
V
the
for
series.
victory, I'll call that.
It's been an interesting one because on the other side of the world, we've seen some big scores between Australia and India women, and sort of both been chased out. And England have batted first 4 times this year now in ODI cricket, and they've been bowled out each time. We saw that in the first 3 ODIs, and both in that second ODI and that third ODI. They were reliant on last wicket partnerships to get them up to anything respectable. They had this experiment of batting Danny Wyatt at 7, which I guess has paid off. She's got some runs in that second ODI that she put on 53 for the last wicket with Tash Farrant. But ultimately, if you're not batting out your 50 overs, you're going to come a cropper that way. And we saw that in the third ODI. They only made, 178 was the total they made, and the Kiwis chased it down. But in that fourth ODI, Tom, 244 represented their highest ever successful chase.
Did it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me too. They needed 245 to win that one. I think 243 had been their highest previous one. They had the benefit of Anya Shrubsole back in the team, but the Kiwis batted
hitting the winning runs.
She did. It was really set up by a partnership between skipper Heather Knight and Amy Jones, who hit 40. But interestingly, it was only you were surprised by the stat about highest ever run chase. It was only Heather Knight's second ever ODI 100, which for a player of her quality is, and she had said herself, her conversion rate is probably not quite good enough.
It is, but I mean, we can have a look at her figures there. I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
No, it's she's one of the best players in the world. We know that. Yeah. I think averaging a touch under 40 in one-day cricket is world class. But I think she would look at that and say over 100 innings, and she's only gone on 100 twice, typically batting in the top 4. And that conversion rate, 22 50s to 200s. But I think what would give her pleasure about that knock in the fourth ODI is it was a crucial match-winning knock. She didn't quite get them over the line. But to take that responsibility as captain, hold the innings together, especially as they have been struggling in the first 3 to bat the overs, I thought it was a really mature and a very impressive knock. Something I don't think I've ever seen before in a cricket match, Tom. Do you know what that was?
Go on, man.
The final ball to win the match, it was Sophie Eccleston was stumped off a wide.
Yes.
But was given not out because the game had ended.
I had to check the law.
Yeah. Well, so did the commentators. I don't think anybody quite knew.
No, yeah. So not a lovely way to win a match, though. Regardless, I think we we need to give some shout outs for the performances of Tahuhu, who's come onto the scene for the New Zealanders. Bowling got Pfeiffer in that third ODI. Maddie Green picking up the man of the match as well with 70 in that at a decent clip. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Charlie Dean as well, particularly for the performance in the second ODI. Took her fourfer.
Yeah, she did. And she followed up with a 3 for 52 in the fourth ODI. I think she slotted into that team well. She gives a different option with the right arm spin. A player that I quite like the look of, who came in the third ODI for New Zealand, is Molly Penfold, young quick bowler, actually born in London, but moved out to New Zealand relatively early. Plays for Auckland, and yeah, she looked like she had a bit of pace about her as well. So yeah, be interested to see how she develops as her career progresses.
You'll get to see today because that's when the fifth ODI is. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Yeah. Great opportunity just to see some more good quality cricket. One opportunity we've lost, unfortunately, this week, though, is clearly with the cancellation of the cricket T20s that we were going to see in Pakistan. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So both the England men's and women's team were due to tour Pakistan next month for, as you said, T20s, and I think the women were going to play some ODIs as well. Yeah. And last week we saw New Zealand pull out of their tour almost at the last minute, I think on the day of the game, citing security concerns. And then the ECB, on the back of that, have made an announcement that they too would not be touring. An interesting story. I don't know how closely you've been following it, Tom, but there's been some revelations in the last week that have shed some uncomfortable truths, I think, on the way the ECB have operated in this space.
I think, I haven't followed it to the nose. I try to keep my head out of politics, but I mean, there is something going on there.
Well, let me give you sort of the way the story developed then.
Yeah.
Because, and I think we'll put the link below because George Dobell wrote a very good piece on this on CricInfo that can summarize this much better than I could. But essentially, they made the decision that they were going to, they cited the potential impact on players' safety.
Yeah.
Or the perception that the players would want to do it. Now, what then transpired is that the British High Commission in Pakistan said this didn't come from us. Other teams have toured Pakistan, other international teams. A lot of English players have been to Pakistan to play in the Pakistan Super League.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the sort of imminent threat. And that came back to the New Zealand thing as well, because the Pakistan authorities were saying to New Zealand, well, if there's an imminent threat, can you tell us about it, please? Because this isn't just about cricketers. This is about people in the country. Let us know if you know something's about to happen.
Perhaps the most cricketing connected person in the world, Imran Khan, on the phone. It's like,
exactly.
What do you know is going on?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and the High Commission said, right, this isn't a security thing. Then the PCA, there's a branch of the PCA that sort of deals with English centrally contracted players. They came out and said, no, this didn't come from us either. And I think Heather Knight interviewed last week was essentially saying, well, this came from above. This wasn't a player's decision. So if it's not the government and it's not the players, then it's basically ECB top brass have unilaterally made a call because you can't even quote sort of quarantine concerns because they're there for 4 days.
Yeah.
So very fishy. I don't know whether it was to do with, they didn't think they could get a side out. I don't want to speculate that it's about, could we have pulled players from the IPL or not? We've already demonstrated we can put an England side out. We'd had that in the summer when we had the COVID scare. So very, very odd. And the final point I make on it is that I'm not just upset by it. At this point, I'm actually upset by it because I think that last summer was very tough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Pakistan came, they quarantined for nearly 2 months. They played a fantastic series.
Yeah.
I think England cricket owes Pakistani cricket. We owe them this series. We owe the Pakistani public, sending our team to go and, see them live against their home team, not just playing in the UAE behind closed doors. We should have gone, unless, there's an imminent, security threat, of course. But if there isn't, then I'm really disappointed we're not going.
I think I can echo all of that. I mean, you call it upset. I'm going to stick with disappointed because this is not the first time that the top end of the cricketing hierarchy, as it were, the BCCI, the ECB, and even Australian hierarchies show ultimately a disdain for some of the other cricketing participants. And I mean, we can shake our fists at it all we like, but they need to show some actions. I think we do need to see cricket back in Pakistan, as you say. So it's done. That is it. The Pakistan team, I hope, will use it as fuel, because they stand a great chance coming up into this World Cup of actually doing some good things. So I hope that they take it and actually put another 5 miles an hour on Shaheen Shah Afridi and see how it goes.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because I mean, you're right. It's this issue around the concentration of power in the big three.
Yeah.
The reason we love cricket is because the game varies so much by geography. Each country that plays brings a unique style and unique brand of cricket. That's what makes the game so exciting and compelling. If we lose that, then we've lost a huge part of why we enjoy the game so much.
Here, I suppose. Right, let's move it on to more positive things.
Let's do it.
Which is the fact we've got another fantastic week of cricket. So I'm off to watch some IPL. And I hope you will have a lovely weekend too. If you've enjoyed that content, then let us know. Stick a comment down below. If you want to see us talk about something, let us know in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button.
Cheers.
And Rich, we'll catch you soon.